Alright, so realized that this Chapter 2 quiz was a little bit trickier than maybe I had anticipated. So we're going to go over how to do these together. My first section here says to write the rational number as a decimal. So when I do that, really all I need to do is punch this in my calculator. So I'm going to punch in 3 divided by 11, negative 3 divided by 11. It's going to give me a negative 0.2727, repeating. And when I get that, I can just put a line over the top, just like that. Okay, I'm going to do the similar thing with this one down here, although this time I notice I have a whole number here, 3. And so I'm going to start with a 3, I know that, and then I'll have my decimal point. Then I just have to do my 13 divided by 20 gives me 65. So 3.65 is going to be my solution to that one. Those are pretty straightforward. Most people did okay with that. Converting your decimal to a fraction was the one that people struggled with the most. So with this first one, 3 and 42/100ths, I'm going to use my number 2 over here as my example. So I know that I have my whole number 3 that's just going to be out front. So there's my 3. And then 42/100ths is what I have left over. So 42/100 is what's left. But I need to reduce it. It says that I need to do it as a reduced fraction. So I know that, well, it looks like 2 can go into both of them. 2 goes into 42, let's see, 21 times. 2 goes into 150 times. 3 and 21/50ths is my reduced fraction. We're going to do a similar method over here. I'm going to make negative 35/100ths into a fraction. So I have negative 35/100ths, 35/100. I'm noticing that 5 can go into both of these. And so 5, I know, goes into 35 7 times. 5 goes into 100 20 times. Got negative 7/20 is my reduced fraction. Alright, and then these are just asking me to write my, to just solve it and then write my fractions in simplest form. So the decimal ones are easier because we can literally just punch these in our calculator. So 5.73 minus a negative 3.56 gives me a positive 9 and 29/100ths, 9.29. The fractions are the ones that are a little bit more difficult. So in this case, I'm going to want to probably turn my 2 1/3 into an improper fraction. So the way that I do that is I take my 2, my whole number, times my denominator, 3, and I add it, my numerator to it. So this is going to change to negative 5/3 plus 6 plus 1 is 7, 7/3. Negative 5, and then I can just add across, right? So negative 5 plus 7 is a 2. Keep my denominator. My answer is 2/3. Do the same thing down here. So I've got 4 times 5 is 20 plus 2 is 22. So I've got 22/5 minus 6 times. Okay, so I'm going to take 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 1, which is 13. So that I'm going to have 13/2 over here. But in order to add or subtract my fractions, I need to have a common denominator. And here it looks like my common denominator is going to be 10. So in order to get from 5 to 10, I need to multiply by 2, which means I also need to multiply the top by 2. So I'm going to have 44/10. Okay, I'm going to have 44/10. And over here I'm going to have to multiply by 5. 13 times 5 is 65, so I'm going to have this minus 65/10. Oh, I have the paintbrush. I think that's why it's so funny. Yep, that's why it's acting so funny. Okay. Alright, so now I have just 44 minus 65. Leaves me with negative 21. So this leaves me with negative 21 over 10. I can just leave my answer like that. I don't need to simplify. That's as simple as it can go. If you wanted to change it to a mixed number, you would have 2 and 1/10, right? 1/10. Negative 2 and 1/10. Okay. So that is that one. And then our last one down here, we've got 3 times 9, which is 27, plus 7. It's going to be a 34. So I'll have negative 34 over 9, plus 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 7/3. Now my common denominator is pretty simple here because I just have to change my second one. You can see that I have a common denominator of 9. So this is going to change to negative 34/9. I'm going to move this down. Negative 34/9 plus 21 over 9, right? I'm going to multiply both by 3. So I've got negative 24 plus 21 is going to leave me with a negative 3 over 9, which equals negative 1/3 if I were to simplify it, which you should simplify. All right, a couple more here. Now I'm multiplying, so I don't need to have a common denominator on this one, but I do want to change this to an improper fraction. So I'm going to have negative 2/5 times 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5, times a negative 5/4. Now, what's nice about this is that I can cross simplify. So I see my 2 5s here. I'm going to make both of those a 1. I've got a 2 here. I'm going to make that a 1. My 4 becomes a 2 then. 2. So now I've got 1 times negative 1, which is 1. And then a 2 times 1, which is 2. They're both negative, so it's going to give me a positive 1/2. This next one is in decimal form, so I can just punch this one into my calculator. Negative 4.2 divided by 12 gives me a negative 0.35. Ooh, this is not working very well today. 0.35. All right, last one here then. I've got negative 2/7 divided by 8 over 21. I need a common denominator here. So I can see that I'll multiply both of these by 3. So that'll give me a negative 6 over 21 divided by 8 over 21. Now I can just divide across. So I'll have negative 6 divided by 8, which is going to give me a negative 2 goes into that, 3/4. Okay, and now I could have done it a different way. I could have said, I'm going to take negative 2/7, keep change to times, flip 21 over 8, and I would have had the same outcome. This would become a 1, that becomes a 3, that becomes a 4, that becomes a 1, still left with negative 3/4. Works either way. All right, we just got a couple word problems and then we're good to go. I have 8 pounds of peanuts that I need to divide into 2/3 pound packages. How many packages can I make? So I have my total of 8 pounds and I need to divide it into, get rid of this bottom part. I need to divide it into 2/3 pounds packages. So I'm taking 8, dividing it by 2/3. So I could do 8 times 3 over 2. That becomes a 1, that becomes a 4. 4 times 3 is 12. I can make 12 packages of peanuts. We're doing a similar thing here, truck driver drove 49 miles in 1 1/3 hours. What was his average speed in miles per hour? So I'm taking my miles, 49, dividing it by 1 1/3 or 4/3, which is going to be the same as 49 over 1 times 3/4. So I'm going to take 49, I can't cross simplify here, so 49 times 3 gives me 147. 147 divided by 4. When I do that, leaves me with 36.75 miles per hour. I could round this up to about 37 miles per hour if I wanted to. About. And there's my answer. All right, one more, and then we're good. This one is very similar to the first one. So I have a 10.5 gallon tank that is 2/3 full. How many more gallons would it take to fill the aquarium? So I need to figure out what is 10.5, what is 2/3 of 10.5. When I hear the word of, that should automatically in my mind make me think times. So I need to take 2/3 times 10.5. So when I do that, I can write this like this: 2/3 times, it's going to be 21 over 2. Had to think about that for a second. I'm going to cross cancel here. 1, that leaves me with a 7. So 2/3 of it is 7 gallons. I'm not done yet though, because I need to know how many more gallons I need. So I'll take my 10.5 minus my 7 gallons, and that's going to give me 3.5 gallons. I need 3.5 more gallons to fill up my aquarium.